Okay, welcome to section 3. This is going to be video 4 of unit 8. We are talking about imperialism, American imperialism. After the Spanish-American War, the United States now has a reputation to live up to, and we are going to live up to it through imperialism. So what the heck is imperialism? Imperialism is used to describe a policy where a strong nation is going to use their political, military, and economic control over a weaker nation. I don't want you to use terms like big versus small because we had a very small country, Great Britain, take over very large areas of land, the 13 colonies. And it does not matter what the size of your actual country is. It matters how strong your government is, your military is, and your economy is. And we are kind of changing out the policy of colonization for imperialism. So one of the big pushes for imperialism to gain these weaker nations is industrial leaders. Industrial leaders support this idea because they want new markets to sell their product in and they want more resources. This is not new. European powers had been using this idea for decades, okay? They had been doing what was called colonizing, and now we're just calling it imperialism. But European nations already had way more land than the United States around the globe. And America, after the Spanish American War, needs to either compete or fall behind. And the way we saw it was either we go out and we get more land or somebody's coming to get us. And we certainly do not want to fall under the control of a European nation, so we better get out there. The other idea that's going to be pushing imperialism at this time is social Darwinism. We've heard this before. Social Darwinism was used to describe and defend the actions of monopolies for eating up their competition. Here, we're going to use social Darwinism to defend the actions of imperialism. We're going to say that superior civilizations, like America, should go out and take control over other lands because it's our duty to civilize them, to make them better with our culture. This should be setting off alarm bells and reminding you of the white man's burden because that's the basic idea. We have a duty to civilize these other nations around the world that we view as different, as uncivilized, and that will make them better. Causes of imperialism. We already hinted at this one. It's going to be economic gain. The United States is thinking all about that money. Let's make our economy better. Industrialists, because this is right after the Spanish-American War, 1898. We are after the Gilded Age, after that second industrial revolution. We have industry in the United States that could benefit from having more raw materials, more natural resources to increase their production. These industries are also looking to sell to a greater audience. And if we take over these weaker nations, that's more people that we could sell to. We could increase production, sell more. We get more resources. That makes us more money. Militarism. We now are looking to get naval bases all around the world. We're trading all around the world. We want to protect our ships that get sent out. Alfred Thayer Mahan is going to be behind this idea that the United States needs naval bases that we can stop at along the way to make sure our trade ships are safe. The third cause of imperialism is nationalism and that idea of social Darwinism. Imperialists, or people who support imperialism, feel like we have a moral duty to spread our culture to people that we saw as inferior or below us. This idea is similar to manifest destiny. It's our duty, it's our destiny to take these lands. We are strong, they are weak. With our help, they can become strong. If we give them our culture, they will become strong. Real crazy ideas here, but these are the causes of imperialism. Not everybody in the United States is going to like imperialism, okay? The anti or against imperialist arguments are going to be pretty simple. First, imperialism is not Christian. It forces people to follow suit. Many Americans during this time period are going to be Christians, and they say, well, that's just not in line with our religion. Imperialism is also undemocratic. You're forcing people to submit to our government. That's not people participating in the way their countries run. That's the exact opposite. We're supposed to be this nation that pushes democracy, that we're in favor of the most participation of people. But imperialism is not that. Anti-imperialists are also going to argue that we don't have the military capabilities to protect a big overseas empire. We just haven't built it up. But the rebuttal to that is, well, we could build it. We could make it better. Anti-imperialists are going to say we should stay out of European affairs. Remember that Monroe Doctrine? Us taking these lands is going to get us in competition with European empires, and we don't want to do that. We said we would stay out. Plus, we were in the perfect position. The US has 2 oceans on either side of us that act as a buffer, or we're supposed to act as a buffer. We could stay isolated if we wanted to, and anti-imperialists say that's probably in our best interest to do that. And anti-imperialists will say imperialism is tyranny. We know how it feels to have an empire that's far away, that is going to force us to do what we don't want to do, who's going to force laws on us that we don't like. We were once that nation who was a colony, and we fought for our independence. But now we have lived long enough to become the evil that we once fought against. Also, people are going to argue that there's no need to expand overseas. The United States is already a vast nation with plenty of resources and plenty of good markets. We don't need any more. We're good just the way we are. So this tension in the United States is starting to rise as we see the United States branching out and trying to collect more nations, more weaker nations, to expand our country. Some key people that we have to fit in here, and we'll talk about these guys more as we talk about conflicts that involve imperialism. But first, we have William McKinley, who is going to support imperialism. We should know this already. He pushes us into the Spanish-American War to gain territory at the end of it. Remember, we get Puerto Rico, Guam, the Philippines, all under McKinley. Teddy Roosevelt will push for imperialism. He says, speak softly and carry a big stick. As we speak softly and carry this big stick, we can collect more territories. We are strong. We can do it. Anti-imperialists are going to kind of be all over the board. You have Mark Twain, the famous writer, who says, I'm opposed to having the eagle put its talons in any other land. The eagle, a representation of the United States. Talons being stuck anywhere else in the world. He does not like it. William Jennings Bryan, a very religious figure that we saw in the Populist Party, pokes his head out and says, it's not very democratic. It's not a good look for the United States to use imperialism. And we're going to see the Anti-Imperialist League form that has members from very different backgrounds. We have Andrew Carnegie coming from a business background. We have Mark Twain coming from a more social literature background. And we have Samuel Gompers, who represents a labor union. all coming together to oppose not only the Treaty of Paris, but the annexation of the Philippines, arguing that it's going to cause more trouble than it is good for the United States. And that's how they'll kind of see taking on any other nations as well. It's going to cost us more money, more resources, and more of a headache than it is going to bring us joy, money, and power. Next time we come together, we're going to talk about different examples of where the United States uses imperialism throughout the history of the United States. Don't forget about your homework and let me know of any questions.